welcome everybody. The Monday night show for Manchester is Blue. We've got Emily, as always, and Tom. How are we doing, guys? You okay?
How's it going, guys? I'm all good.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, really good, thanks.
Emily?
Yeah.
You sounded great on the radio the other day.
Which one?
I love it. I love that.
No, I don't know. I don't mean it like that. I don't know which one you mean.
Tom, you might not know, but Emily's a radio superstar in the making. She's on. Was it BBC? Was it BBC? Was it Manchester? BBC Manchester you were on the other day?
When I hosted it.
Yeah. Oh, when I hosted it, you know, when I hosted the radio show, as it is.
No way. I just don't know, because I don't really know what day it is. Do you know what I mean? There's like not enough hours in the day. So God, I'd never ever be like that in a million years. I get a phone call, I'm like scratching my head thinking, why does anybody want to listen to me? Really?
Is this serious? Right, well, we've got to talk about the game. Do you know what? There's a lot of phrases knocking around, and the best one I can use for the Liverpool game was game of two halves, because that's probably the best analogy for this game. Emily, give us your thoughts on the game. So we've got loads of questions from people that message our page. So we'll start off with yourself first. Just get your thoughts on how you think we did.
Oh God, that first half an hour was brutal, wasn't it? It was. I think I predicted the team. Apart from, I had Foden starting instead of Gundogan, and that is that's not a slant on Gundo, because I'm one of his biggest fans. I bang the drum for him all the time. I just didn't want the double pivot once I'd seen their team with so strong up front with those four. I just thought, we need the legs in midfield. We're going to get completely and utterly overrun, and lo and behold, it was exactly how that first half an hour panned out. It was brutal. It was pretty painful to watch that first half an hour, and to be honest with you, I breathed a sigh of relief when the game calmed down a little bit and we kind of came out of the other end of that half an hour with just the goal behind, because it could have been worse. You know, like it really could have been worse, and just coming out of that just a goal behind, I kind of thought, right, let's settle down now, let's calm down, and let's just try and get some control over the game and get some momentum and get some possession, get a foot on the ball, and just try and get into the game, because it was just so frenetic and frantic, and they really went for the jugular. They really came out of the blocks, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And Jota and Firmino both starting. That was a real oh wow, right, okay, they are going for it. That was a bit of an alarm bell for me.
I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I can and I can't, but it was like really brave from Klopp to just roll the dice and really go for it. And it nearly paid off for him. Well, it did, because they got a point. But once we'd settled down, I thought, right, we'll be all right now. And then obviously the Jesus goal was absolutely fantastic. And then the penalty miss was just heartbreaking. Just absolutely heartbreaking. The decision of the penalty for me, because of the penalty that had been given in the Leicester game, it's so contentious, and the rules are ridiculous. But
harsh, isn't it? If it happens against you, it's harsh, isn't it? The rules need to change at some point. They've got to. When I saw the replay of the referee, he's kind of doing it grimaced. I kind of felt a bit embarrassed for him, because he must be thinking, what am I giving a penalty for this for? This is ridiculous.
He's gone and looked at it, and you could almost see he was kind of begrudgingly pointing to the spot. He's like, you know what, I'm really sorry, but I've got to do this. Yeah. Because it's just how daft the rules are. But
he could have sent him off as well, couldn't he?
Yeah, that would have done us a massive favour. But yeah, the penalty, oh my God, you don't really see that happening, do you, from Kevin?
No, it's bitterly disappointing, really. What about your thoughts, Tom? How do you think we went on?
It was, I was quite surprised, obviously, how attacking Liverpool lined up. I thought they'd come and settle for a point, which obviously they didn't do. It kind of, in a way, reminded me of sort of, like a boxing match where you got two heavyweights going at it, and one's obviously technically not as good as the other, but they just come out swinging through the first 3 or 4 rounds and try and knock out his opponent. That's what, in an essence, Liverpool did to us yesterday. They came out with this really attacking lineup and just went ham at our back four for the first 20 minutes. Yeah. And it very nearly worked for them, because we were, for that first 20, 25 minutes, we weren't in the game. And I fully expected that we'd kind of settle into the game, dominate the ball, and they'd hit us on the counter-attack. But it was anything but that for the first 20 minutes. So, yeah, fair play to them for coming out and going for it. And yeah, I think we took a while to get into the game. The second half was dreadful. The second half, after the first half, I was expecting a really exciting second half, and it was pretty dire in all honesty. I thought we always looked the more likely of winning the game if anyone was going to. But again, we just looked a little bit flat in that final third. I was very, very surprised. I had Foden down to starting. I thought Foden would start. But I was very surprised that he didn't come on. I was kind of screaming at the TV from the 60th minute onwards. We need Foden. We need this injection of pace to sort of spur on that front three. Which
Tom, you're so spot on, mate. I was amazed Foden didn't play that game.
I thought Sterling was quite average as well. I thought Sterling had quite a poor game.
He got a bit of a slating on social media as Sterling. Have you seen that, Emily?
I thought he wasn't alone though, was he? De Bruyne really below par, really out of sorts for De Bruyne, and I don't like saying that. And this isn't us getting on players' backs; it's just us speaking the truth about what we've witnessed. Because people are so quick to think that people are making players scapegoats, and we're not in any way, shape, or form. We know that these are top class players who are capable of producing week in, week out, and normally do. But Sterling, I felt like he was constantly running down cul-de-sacs, constantly running down and then getting absolutely nowhere. I was frustrated watching him. De Bruyne just looked really out of place. And the second half for me was just so frustrating because, like you've already said, I was waiting at the full-time whistle and thinking, did Foden not come on? Let's see, why did he not bring him on? And even when he was going to bring him on, it would have been too little too late. Like it was almost like a nod at the end and thinking, all right, yeah, I'll shove you on. But he should have been in that game. Well, I wanted him to start. But if he's not starting, you come on early in the second half to try and change it around, because I did feel, without sounding like a spoiled brat, like they were there for the taking. I really felt like in the second half, there was like a lull in play. They really eased off, but we did. And at that point, we should be going for it. We should be going up a gear and really, really going for it. And I think Foden would have been the difference in that situation. And that's why I'm frustrated, because it is a good point, really, in perspective, but it could have been more. And I'm just surprised that we really didn't go for it when we had that opportunity.
So are you thinking then? I mean, City Days made a couple of points. He can't be on here. He's got a couple of meetings, and City Days mentioned a couple of points in relation to the wrong formation, the two pivot, the two holding midfielders, and as opposed to having Foden or Bernardo for Gundogan. I really think we missed Bernardo's energy and vibrance and a bit of flair in that second half. I don't know what you guys thought of that, but do you think Pep set this up for a draw not to lose something? Because it's certainly got that. I got that feeling after 60 minutes to nobody wants to lose this.
I feel like we were kind of thrown off by Liverpool's starting lineup. I feel like the two sort of holding midfielders, if we'd have known the way Liverpool were going to set up prior to obviously announcing the teams, I think knowing they'd only had obviously that Wijnaldum and Henderson, two in midfield, who were only there two. I can't even speak. They're only two real central midfielders. I feel like we wouldn't have needed to play the two holding midfielders, and we could have tried to overrun that. But I feel like I think Pep sort of anticipated that Liverpool would come out with a more defensive lineup than they did, and then that kind of threw us off. But that being said, I still think at half time was a time where Bernardo should have come on. I think for me, when I saw that Trent went off injured, I thought this is a perfect time to get Foden on, running at Milner. The fresh legs of Foden, who's so energetic and so quick. We know, obviously, the less said about Milner, the better. But we know that Milner's not the quickest. So bringing Foden on at that point and having him running at Milner, I thought was the obvious choice, especially with Sterling not quite up to scratch. But no, I think if Liverpool had set up how we expected them to, I think the two holding midfielders is the right way to go about it, because we needed to dominate the ball and have that extra pair of legs to stop the counter-attack. But no one could account for Liverpool coming out and playing in the way they did. And all credit to Klopp. I think he got his tactics bang on yesterday. But I also think at the same time, if we'd have made a couple more changes in the second half, that the game really was there for the taking. So, like Emily said, it's a good point. A point against Liverpool is never a bad point, but at the end of the day, it's with our record at Anfield, knowing that the chances are we're going to go there and lose. It's, do we need to be beating Liverpool at home as we have done over the last couple of years? I guess we'll find out at the end of the season whether or not it was a good point. But for me, I do think the game was there for the taking in the second half, but neither team really took it to the other one.
I listened to a lot of interviews post game, and the Roy Keane one. It's not often I mention his name in a positive light on this show. Roy Keane, I think, summed it up as eloquently as he normally does. City have got nobody to blame but themselves for being short of strikers. I don't see them winning the league this year. He's spot on from a striker's point of view. I genuinely can't. I look whenever he talks about City, I look for the argument, and I can't disagree with him. I thought Jesus that was an absolute moment of absolute Brazilian favela brilliance. His goal, once it, by the way, there'll be kids up and down the country trying that without a shadow of a doubt.
Right, there was somebody trying to say that he didn't mean it though. Who was that? Who I read?
Oh, I tell you what, after what I've watched it like 4 times, he definitely meant that. His body movement went one way or the other, so straight. Whoever said that, they don't know.
It was, and I was like, "Are you winding me up? Do you actually get to watch him when he plays all the time?" Because he meant that. That's what he can do. That's why he's underrated for me. People don't appreciate him enough.
Do you not think he had a bit of a quiet game yesterday, though?
Yeah, but one shot, 1 goal straight away. That's clinical. That's what we've been missing.
That's what we need. Yeah, 100%.
That's what we need. And not only that, I feel like he didn't have the way that it went in the second half. I thought it was just so utterly average and lethargic as well. That not necessarily had the delivery as well and the help around him, because everybody was just so off the game.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's very true. I want to give. Hang on 1 second. Excuse me. I want to do a massive shout out to our future captain and a 23-year-old who's only just joined us and looks like he's been playing in the Premier League since he was 16. Ruben Diaz. What a signing! We honestly, that he's been the missing link for us. He's been, and I tell you what, watching him play with Laporte, I get goosebumps thinking about how good those two can be. Cancelo for left back. Mendy is not going to see the green pitch again until we start playing at some third division team in a cup, because Cancelo has played fantastically well. Walker, yeah, he made a mistake. Of course, everyone's going to hold his hands up, but he's still my player of the season up to now. And he will be for some time unless somebody really starts pulling up trees. So I don't blame him. But that back 5 with Ederson, we shouldn't change that going forward. Let's keep that going. So what's your thoughts, pal?
I was just about to say on that. You said about obviously Roy Keane saying we won't win the league because we've not got the strikers or whatever. If City win the league this season, it's going to be on the fact that we're going to defend better than any other team, rather than the fact that we're going to score more goals than any other team. Which, to say that about a Guardiola side sounds absolutely bonkers, to say that we'll win the league based on our defensive capabilities. But I predicted us to win the league at the start of the season. I had my doubts after the first 3 games, but I'm now fully of the belief that we will win the league this season on the fact that we will win games against these lesser teams per se by 1-0, 2 goals to nil, like we did against Sheffield United, in the fact that with the back 4 that didn't consist of Diaz and Laporte, we'd have, the chances are we wouldn't have won that game, and we dominated that game. We deserved to win the game 3 or 4-0. Didn't take any chances, but we didn't give them any chances either because of how solid that back 4 is. And that's why I do think that we will win the league this year, on the fact that we'll win those games by 1-0. And it's not like you worry that, oh no, they're going to score any time there because Otamendi's going to dive in to make a rash challenge, or Mendy's going to be caught too far up the field, like we've come to expect over the last couple of years. Diaz yesterday was absolutely incredible, and as was Cancelo. I think I saw a stat that other than De Bruyne, Cancelo's created the most chances for open play for us this year. Yeah. And to think he's playing out of position. Although I say that, I was speaking to someone about this the other day, and they were saying you always want your left back to be left-footed, but in the way that City play, they spend so much time in the middle of the pitch that it really doesn't matter what foot they use, because the fullbacks are so high and so narrow rather than being wide, that he can cut across and whip one in with his right foot, as he did when Jesus should have scored yesterday. So we're not going to see that. The Centurions team was sort of a once-in-a-lifetime team, the team that scores 100 and however many goals in a season. We won't see that again, or the chances are we won't see that again. and we're not going to see the glitz and the glamour that we've seen over the 2 years that we won the title. But I do really believe that we will win the league this year on the fact that we'll just have the best defence in the league. Which, to say that after watching our defence last season sounds inconceivable, but I really do think that the defence is where it needs to be now. And I say that Laporte will go and get injured for 6 months.
Oh no!
But no, if that back four stays fit or back five including Edison, if that back five stays fit for the season, I think we'll take some stopping. I really do.
Yeah.
The best thing is as well. Do you know what? Whenever I see like an Ake or a Stones, those two. I tell you what, those two could have a cracking partnership as a B team for our defence as well. They played the other night, didn't they? I'm really excited about what Ake can do for us. So we have that strength now.
I think this season as well, people might just have to adjust their mindsets a little bit, because we have been used to the fantasy football, the free flowing, the goal scoring, like swashbuckling kind of football. And we might just have to kind of just think, right, okay, it might just be a little bit more about just getting through games and trying to pick up points and try and do game management, because of how hectic it is, because of the way the world is at the moment with the games coming so thick and fast. I mean, I looked at November, December fixtures and it's just insane. So people may just, because I do see a lot of it on socials of like people thinking, well, yeah, but it's not great, is it? And still calling for Pep's head. But if you're still picking up points, like the Sheffield United game, for example, Sheffield United game, perfect example, because we got 3 points. It's a tough place to go to normally. And you just got to slightly adjust your mindset and just think, right, we're getting 3 points. It's all well and good. The defence is an absolutely massive, massive positive that maybe people are overlooking at how important it is after last season in particular. That is such a bonus to have that reassurance when you look at the team sheet now and think, right, brilliant. That we don't have to worry about. Don't have to even think about it. Absolutely fantastic.
It's great, isn't it?
It's so, I mean, like 3 clean sheets in a row we had. When's the last time? I don't know the stat, but when was the last time that we had that? Before the Liverpool game. So it might just be a little bit about, like, because it is a bit of a mad season and people are getting really crazy results. I mean, Villa yesterday with Arsenal, what was it, 3-0? Yeah. It's a bit of a bonkers,
isn't it? It's absolutely
we're living through times that are just not ordinary. And we might just have to just adjust our mindset just a little bit and just think, right, don't moan too much. As long as we're getting the points, Liverpool aside, obviously, because that was a draw, but as long as we get the points, then, let's just get through it, because we've just got to get through the season. I'm just looking at the games now thinking, at the end of it, it's like, right, that's gone, on who's next? And that must be what it's like for them as well. It's just like a breather's sigh of relief, and it's like, right, on to the next, because it's just a complete conveyor belt of games. It must be absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
so it's just a mad season where we have to just think a little bit more and maybe not treat it the same as we normally would do, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It's a funny one as well, isn't it? Because I used to love watching England. Well, not love's a strong emotion. I love watching City. I mean, I like watching England, particularly when City players are involved. And at the moment, there's 2 weeks off now, so we play again a week on Saturday on the 21st against Spurs. So that's plenty of rest, which is fantastic. But being in the club that we are, we've got loads of clubs on international duty. Little niggling injuries here and there. They're playing too much football. Bin it off for a year. Bin off internationals. Yeah. I honestly, I know loads of people listening to this that love internationals more than I do. But, I'm thinking of my heart here, which is City. There's too many games.
You can't have it all.
No, you're spot on. You really can. And Pep and Klopp came out this weekend. They obviously talk a lot. They're obviously very intelligent when it comes to football, and they want more. They want 5 substitutions, don't they?
Which made me laugh, by the way, because Pep only made 1 yesterday.
Yeah, right. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was sure when I read the thing, he only made 1 substitution.
I get it. I because he was more sticking up for Klopp, which I kind of liked and respected as well, because Klopp was fuming, obviously. But I do get it. But it was a bit rich yesterday. I was like, come on, Pep, you didn't even bring Foden on. But
yeah, oh, right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a chat to you about, because we're going to come on to that in a second, because a couple of people have mentioned that on our Facebook page, Manchester Blue. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to just talk through these, because I think we've talked about a couple of points, but there's some really interesting subjects here that people have mentioned. Peter Thompson, hello Peter. Bernardo, one of our best players, need to see him starting games to take the pressure off KDB. No one's helping him, and Gundo needs resting and can't play in the same team as Rodri. Interesting one, that, isn't it? Because Kevin looked tired yesterday. He looked off the pace, which is really a shame to see. But you can understand why, can't you? Because he is carrying us at the minute. Not carrying, but you know what I mean, don't you? He's our shining light.
As he always is.
What's your thoughts on that? I mean, Bernardo, I love Bernardo. We're spoilt for riches, aren't we, with the amount of players we've got? But I'd love to see Bernardo play more.
Yeah, I would as well. I think he offers exactly that, in the fact that, with the exception of De Bruyne, he is our most creative midfielder, naturally creative midfielder. He spent obviously a lot of time playing on the right, but I think I always prefer him in the middle just for that work rate. I think I always think back to the Liverpool game when we played them at home and beat them 2-1 the year we picked into the league, and he covered pretty much every single blade of grass on the pitch that night, and sort of like ran the show from the middle of the park. And I do think that's what we were missing yesterday in that second half, when the intensity levels dropped a bit, when obviously the team started to tire. But it's just that balance, isn't it? It's finding that balance of, as much as I really do like Rodri, and I think Rodri is a very good defensive midfielder, he doesn't have the ability to sort of cover as much ground as Fernandinho does, as quickly as Fernandinho did. Obviously when he was in his prime, and I think Pep knows that. Rodri's more of a Busquets type player, sort of a bit more physical, a little bit slower, but a very good passer of the ball, which is what Pep likes. But he doesn't have that sort of burst of pace that Fernandinho has to get across and sort of slow down that counter attack. So I think, in games like against Liverpool, I think you will expect to see that holding midfielder role for that exact reason, because I don't think Rodri would have the capabilities to get across and quickly close down Mane or Salah in the way that prime Fernandinho would. But that's just sort of the decision that Pep's opted for with the next defensive midfielder he's brought in. But I'm sure we'll see a lot of Bernardo against your likes of your Crystal Palaces and your Burnleys across the course of the season. But I can't see him starting many games.
Do you think
against
that
the bigger teams?
I don't like being like really critical, but do you think that might be because Rodri isn't good enough in that role?
He needs to grow into it, doesn't he?
I'm still not convinced by him. I'm just not.
I think for me, he is a Pep player. He very much is a Pep player, but whether or not he's a Premier League player is another question, because you look at the Premier League great holding midfielders over the years, over recent times, I should say, your likes of Kante, your likes of Fernandinho. They're all smaller, quick, nimble players who cover a lot of ground, and Rodri doesn't fit that mould whatsoever. He fits a Pep mould. He's very much like Javi Martinez, who Pep had at holding midfield at Bayern, and Busquets, who Pep had at Barcelona. He's great at passing the ball. He's great at that build-up play, but defensively he's good, but he's just not very quick. And that lack of pace, I do think, sees him exposed more so than obviously the likes of Fernandinho, just in the fact that the Premier League is so quick.
Yeah.
I do still think he needs time to sort of get used to the sort of the pace of the Premier League. He is still young, and he's still got obviously a lot of learning to do. But I think at the end of the season, I think if he's not upped his game a little bit, I do think people start to question whether or not he's the man to sort of anchor that midfield for the next.
Because the fact that he's thinking that he has to play Gundo next to him to almost try and hold his hand just says to me that he isn't quite good enough, because that's costing us now, in my opinion.
And I was expecting Rodri to be a bit further along his career than what he is now this season. I was expecting him to be better than what he is, and it's hard to say that.
I don't, like I say, I don't pick out scapegoats and stuff like that, but I'm honest. I just call it as I see it. And if he's having to play Gundo next to him because he's struggling on his own, for me, it's just saying that he's just not good enough. And it's difficult, but he's so slow. and he slows the transition of play down. Even like Cancelo is better at transitioning play than Rodri. It's just frustrating to watch. It is.
Lovely caveat there, Emily, to our next discussion topic. Dave Carlisle, according to the MEN, Mahrez was left out of the squad for rotational reasons. Not a massive fan of Mahrez, but definitely capable of a goal out of nothing. He seems to have had the world on his shoulders, Mahrez, the City world on his shoulders for the last couple of weeks. Do you think it's on purpose, that, by Pep? Why has he not benched him as well? I don't understand why you believe him. Because we didn't have enough attacking options on the bench, did we, to make a massive difference? It just surprised me a little bit that he wasn't on the bench at least. What do you think, Emily? Oh, go on, tell me either one.
No, you go, Emily. You go. I'll fill in a minute.
He's been the one, hasn't he, recently, really, where people have really been coming down hard on him, and I have been quite harsh on him. I don't like it, but he's just, again, frustrating where, the other night against Olympiacos, all he was doing was passing. It was like he'd kind of listened to every single thing that every single City fan has been saying, screaming at the telly recently. Pass, pass, pass. And then he was like almost overpassing because of it. I'm not sure why he was left out. Maybe it was just to give him a bit of a break from everything. Maybe he needs a bit of like headspace or something, but he is capable. I mean, his touch is one of the best touches I've ever seen. His first touch. He's got a phenomenal first touch, and he is capable of producing something out of nothing, without a doubt. But people, maybe we don't know whether it's affected him. The other night, he looked like he was playing a really different game to what he's usually playing, which is a good thing. But absolutely, I'd like to see him back. Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's weighing a bit heavy on his shoulders, and that's not nice if it is.
Well, he's got a couple of weeks off, hasn't he? I'm sure he'll be on international duty. We've got Elizabeth Piling here. I'd like to see Diaz as our captain in future. Does it ease the load on KDB? Yeah, 100%. I'd see Diaz as our captain within 18 months.
100%.
I have no question about that whatsoever. The way he just marshals. His first game, he was barking. Imagine going to the office on your first day at work and he started barking orders at people straight away. Love that.
I love that, though. I mean, I just absolutely love the confidence to do that.
Yeah, and he's I love that. I'm all up for that. He sings a lot of things that I love to see in a central defender.
Yes.
You have to forgive me for the pronunciation of this one. Dumboklang Swalin. I do apologise if that's wrong. Please talk about another striker. We truly need another one. What do you think? Yeah, we do. The thing is, for me, I'm really liking Torres in that position. I really want to see what he can do. I know he's young. I know he's kind of a wide type player. Tom, I love your perspective on this, but I'd love to see more of Torres in that position. But that does not get away from the fact of Aguero's made of glass and he's not going to play more than 30 games in this season, is he? Or 25 games in this season, or whatever's left. What's your thoughts?
I thought Torres was, he was really quiet yesterday. I don't think we saw little to nothing of him throughout the 90 minutes. I think the majority of the play went down the left-hand side with Sterling, or anything we did see down the right was De Bruyne on that overlap. So I think he's obviously brought him in as a winger, but I feel like he just seems to look like a centre forward. The way his movement off the ball is incredible. He's always moving, and we saw that obviously when we beat Marseille, and then again when we beat Sheffield United. His finishing is still slightly questionable to start as a striker. He has obviously scored a couple of decent goals. His one against, was it Porto in the Champions League, was a really nice finish, but he's not got that striker's edge in terms of goal scoring. I do still think obviously when Aguero's fit, Aguero and Jesus are going to be our two strikers. But like you say, with Aguero injured a lot, no guarantee that he signs a contract extension. Whether or not we want him to sign a contract extension if he's going to be injured is another question. Obviously, as City fans, we never want Aguero to leave, but looking at it from sort of a business perspective, as City will do, he's on a quite hefty wage. He's spending more time at the minute in the treatment room than he is on the pitch. Do we then try and give Torres more minutes up front to see if he has got what it takes to be a striker? And then that sort of helps us when we come to looking at replacing Aguero, because if he is cut out to be a striker and we do want to use him as a centre forward and we're playing him on the wing all season, then it's a waste of 12 months. So It's a really strange one, but I can't see that he will get many minutes up front. But for me personally, I think he looks apart when he does get minutes up top.
Spot on. Right, well, Emily, we'll give you the last word. Have you got anything else to add before we shoot off?
No, not really. I mean, just looking ahead, it's going to be, like I said before, swashbuckling when it all comes back. It's like just relentless and non-stop. So, I mean, as much as we're missing it now, when it comes back, it'll be boom straight into it all and then back at it. But I'm just hoping that we can keep up with it all and that we don't get any injuries. And it is a really, really tough season with everything, with all things considered. And I mean, I'd love us to win the league. It's just making sure that we can keep up with the pace, because like I say, there are some curveballs out there. There really are some curveballs, and it isn't a normal time in any way, shape or form. But if we stick with it, like I say, the positive is the defence, unequivocally. That is just, it cannot be underestimated how positive that is for us, because like we're not leaking goals. We don't have there's the odd brain fart. Kyle Walker, as good as he is still capable of the odd brain fart moment, because he is one of the best right backs for me, without a doubt. But yeah, we've just got to keep the faith, haven't we, and just see what happens. But I just think the expectations are so great from a lot of people because of what we've been used to watching and what we've won, that I think this season we've just got to take a deep breath and just think outside the box a little bit and just think, you know, it's not normal. Let's just go with it and see what happens, instead of having that weight of expectation, because you feel it after a draw and it's bang, Pep out on Twitter straight away. It's
there's so many 12-year-olds on Twitter though, Emily. We need to try and wean out of that, don't we?
Just need a bit of perspective, because you won't know what you've had until it's gone. I'll tell you that now.
Exactly.
The
grass is not always green on the other side.
No way. So let's just go with it and see what happens without that heavy burden and the weight, because it can be oppressive sometimes.
Well said.
Can I just add as well before we do go that I know a lot of people have I've seen a lot in sort of the different groups and whatnot yesterday about how bad De Bruyne's penalty miss was, how it's the end of the world that he missed a penalty, how we can't forgive him and all of this. And I just want to add from my perspective that I don't know if you guys watched the Fulham and West Ham game at the weekend, and 97th minute Fulham get a penalty and Ademola Lookman steps up to take it.
I saw that.
And
I saw that.
He chips the ball down the middle of the goal. Fabianski goes the wrong way and has enough time to get up, make a brew, have his tea and come back and catch it before it goes in the net. I would much sooner see De Bruyne. Obviously, we know how good Alisson is at saving penalties, how good a keeper Alisson is. I would much sooner see De Bruyne aim for that postage stamp I say postage stamp if you flip the mail upside down, in the bottom corner of the goal and put it wide, than see any of our players do something stupid like that and try and chip the ball down the middle of the goal to put us in the lead. So I know, obviously, in missing the target isn't great, and obviously you should never really miss the target as a professional footballer. But one, it weren't the greatest conditions. The pitch was obviously wet, slippy, and two, he's just tried to put the ball as far into the corner as he can. Yes, he could maybe, but then if he puts it, is it worse in missing it wide, going straight for the bottom corner, than it is him putting it just to the left of the keeper, and it's a straightforward save for Alisson? So
do you know what?
A lot of people.
You're spot on, mate. Sorry to interrupt you. I need to say this because I thought this yesterday when I saw all these people. I saw a lot of people slating De Bruyne for that.
That is so harsh.
It really. And do you know what the thing is for me, Emily? And I think I put myself in the right. I put myself on the. I try to put myself on the fence in these situations. I think to myself, all these people saying Kevin De Bruyne earns X, Y, Z. He should be able to hit the target from there. Blah 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 blah. I think to myself, I think to myself, do you know what? I hope you are so perfect in your day job that you don't do one thing wrong. Tell me that you're that perfect. You're not. Yeah. Stop talking crap. That really frustrates me when I see people slating that.
A lot of people I've seen it from a lot of different places. A lot of people have been going at him, and like exactly what you said. If you don't do anything wrong ever in your day job, it don't matter how much you earn. It don't matter if you earn minimum wage or you earn £1 million a day. you're going to do stuff wrong. De Bruyne is the best player that City have got at the minute. He's been the best player playing for City in the past 3 years. And to all of a sudden see everyone saying that it's the end of the world that he's missed his penalty, I just thought was really, like you said, just really, really harsh. Like, he got the assist for Jesus' goal. Like I say, it wasn't the greatest assist he's ever had. And it wasn't his greatest game that he's ever had. But him putting a penalty wide is not the end of the world. And it's inches. It's half an inch to the right, and it's a perfect penalty in the bottom corner. So I just think it's harsh. I just think it's really harsh to people that have been jumping down his throat all over.
My reaction was just like, when I'm watching it, I'm just like, obviously like watching it, and then I was just like, oh my God, like that. And then I lifted my head up and I just carried on because it's De Bruyne.
Exactly.
You know, it's Kevin De Bruyne. Get off his back.
Yeah, there's certain players you can give a lot of rope to, and he is one of them. Just keep taking it whatever you want, Kevin. You can do whatever you want, pal. You can't do much wrong for me. If he's doing that consistently week in, week out and having bad games, then question mark's going to be asked. But he's not.
And how many penalties has Aguero missed for us? Come on. But we still love it.
Yeah. And I guarantee you one thing with Kevin De Bruyne's attitude. I obviously know him really well, next door neighbour. But I guarantee you one thing with his attitude, he'll be chomping at the bit for that game to come against Spurs in a couple of weeks. And I guarantee you he'll be able to play a man of the match performance because he'll be thinking, I need to rectify my game the other day.
I also guarantee that we've seen penalty takers chopped and changed a lot when people have missed penalties recently. The next penalty we get, De Bruyne will step up and take that penalty. And De Bruyne will step up and score that penalty because that's the sort of character that he has.
And do you know what he'll do, Tom? He'll put a Panenka right down the middle.
I really hope not. Oh God, no! I can't defend it, mate. No. I can't defend it at all in any circumstance. To do it in a penalty shootout, to do it 5-0 up, but for that Ademola Lookman to do it at 1-0 down in the 97th minute, and everyone's there. He's only a kid cutting some slack. If I was Scott Parker, he'd be training with the kids for a month, and he'd be nowhere near the starting lineup because that. It's just, I don't understand how people can defend it. But I also don't understand how we win every single penalty shootout we ever have, but we have the worst record in the league by a country mile for scoring penalties in matches. It's so strange. We win so many penalty shootouts. We won 2 Carabao Cups in a penalty shootout, however many knockout rounds. But when it comes to just nailing one in 90 minutes, we just crap at it. But yeah, De Bruyne's penalty, yeah, it was a crap penalty. But like you said, De Bruyne can do what he wants for me. If he wants to miss 20 penalties, he can do, as long as he keeps picking up 20.
Brilliant. Listen, that is a brilliant positive note to end it on. We'll talk very soon, guys. Be a bit of City news coming very soon. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Tom. Have a good evening, guys.
Nice one, guys. See you in a bit.
See you soon. Bye. Bye. Bye.